In this chapter, we're going to discuss a topic that's somewhat related to iterators, the topic of last chapter, and that's the topic of list comprehensions. To demonstrate how list comprehensions work, we'll need to look at an example. So let's open up a program. We'll call it listcomp1.py. Let me get that into the right frame here. Let's say I have a list of grades. We'll just do 4, that's plenty. And let's say that I want to curve those grades by adding 5 points to each grade. The traditional way to do that would be using a for loop. So for example, I would write for I in range length of grades, grades sub I equals grades sub I plus 5. And then let's display grades just to see what the result is. So we'll save that file and then we'll run it, listcomp1.py. So now our grades have been increased by 5 points for each grade. The idea of a list comprehension is to take this 2-statement loop and simplify it using the idea of for loops, but also using the idea of iterators. So take a look at how it would work. We can say grades equal grade plus 5 for grade in grades. So the comprehension is that we've really condensed this for loop into one expression, and what we're really kind of doing is working backwards. And we're saying for each grade in grades, add 5 to it, then take the result of that, the 4 new grades, and assign it back to the list. So let's add a print statement here so we can see the previous values and then the curved values. So let's save the program, and let's run it again. Let me clear the screen. So there are the previous grades, 71, 81, 77, and 84. And here are the new grades, 76, 86, 82, 89. And again, here's the comprehension. List comprehensions are just shortcuts for loops, where you're still actually writing the loop, but we're doing it in a much more concise manner. That's one of the advantages of scripting languages over other languages like C++ and Java, for example. Scripting languages always provide some type of higher order means of performing a standard task, such as looping through a data structure and performing some computation on each element. That's what a list comprehension is. Now, before we move on to list comprehensions and files, which is the topic of the next lesson, let's look at one more example. Let me comment out all this code. Now let's say we have a list of words, and let's say they're all in uppercase. And I want to put those into lowercase because, of course, uppercase is so much harder to read and work with. Well, we can write a very simple list comprehension to do that by using the lower function on a word. So we can say word.lower for word in words, so that for each word in the list of words, make it lowercase, then assign it back. So let's add some print statements to each one of these. And then let's save and run the program. On the screen. So we started out with now is the time in uppercase. Then after our list comprehension, we have now is the time in lowercase. And of course, we could have also written this using the standard for loop pattern, but I didn't really see any reason to show you that because you've seen it already with our grade example. So I went straight to the list comprehension to make all the words in the list lowercase. So again, a list comprehension is really just a backward for loop, but we're able to write it in one single expression as part of one single statement. The traditional for loop involves 2 statements at least and several expressions, but here we can do it all in one statement, and really, if you count the comprehension inside the brackets, really just one expression. So that wraps up this introductory lesson on list comprehensions. Now let's take a look at how to do list comprehensions with files.